Buckle up, Falcons fans. We have a doozy of an episode today. Welcome into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, here to break down the latest that has gone on around the Atlanta Falcons since Friday against the Titans. The first bit of news is that Ben DiNucci, former 7th-round pick of the Dallas Cowboys, has signed with the Falcons, and he sourced himself. So that's how you know it's legit. Raheem Morris did come out and confirm that as well as a bunch of other Falcons beat reporters. And then in some corresponding news, the Falcons have released DJ Chark and waived quarterback Emory Jones after that terrible hit that he took against the Titans, where he is definitely in concussion protocol, so he is now waived/injured. And then, right as at the time of this recording, about 10 minutes ago, the Falcons are signing Ronnie Perkins, former defensive end for the New England Patriots and a bunch of other teams that he has spent time for. He's the 3rd-round pick out of Oklahoma that spent last season with the UFL Stallions, the Birmingham Stallions, and had 3.5 sacks with them. So out of all of this news, this is the reason that you subscribe, right? All Falcons news, no matter how small or insignificant, like the Ronnie Perkins signing, we're going to cover it. So hit subscribe today to keep up with the latest and greatest surrounding the Atlanta Falcons. Let's start with the most impressing and important news, which is the quarterback signing of Ben DiNucci, a 7th-round pick out of Pittsburgh, who then transferred to James Madison, believe it or not. He was a 7th-round pick in 2020 from the Dallas Cowboys. Actually got to start one game for them and threw for 219 career passing yards, and since then has bounced around the league, most recently with the Aints, and they were released on April 29th of 2025. Here's what this means for the Falcons. You ready? Huge drum roll. It's just a training camp body. Practice squad, preseason signing, you name it. They need one quarterback to play against the Cowboys because Easton Stick right now looks like the only quarterback that's going to end up playing. So to get another quarterback in there that'll play most likely in just the 4th quarter, it'll be Ben DiNucci, who ironically is going up against his old team and the team that drafted him. So that's really all that matters. And this, of course, coming from the Emory Jones injury where, he was rolling out to his right, scrambled for a first down or right around a first down on a 4th down play, and then just collided with a defender. And his hands did kind of like a fencing thing. If you remember what happened to Tua last year where his hands curled up, that's called fencing. And maybe not nearly as bad as what Tua's was, but he definitely had this slight little curl. He did get up and kind of walk off his own power, but he's definitely in concussion protocol, and it's looking like it's a little bit worse than we originally thought. Which leads me into my only question that I have about the Atlanta Falcons quarterbacks outside of why Michael Penix is not playing at all or Kirk Cousins. How many quarterbacks will the Falcons keep on their roster? I'm going to say 3, but you let me know in the comment section down below. Penix, Stick, and Cousins are going to be your top 3. Now let's get on with the rest of the episode, something a little bit more pressing that you need to be aware of. The Falcons players that stood out and the ones that did not against the Tennessee Titans. So a brief winners and losers list. Believe it or not, I actually have more winners than I do losers. A couple of losers that we'll talk about here later on in the episode, but I do want to remain on the positives right now because I'm a positive guy. I like to start off with the good, not the bad. Let's go with Natrone Brooks as our first one, who admittingly had a couple of plays where they weren't necessarily great. There was one specific Tennessee Titans touchdown where their 6th-string running back ended up scoring because Natrone Brooks squared him up in open field, dove at his legs, and completely whiffed. Outside of that one specific play, Natrone Brooks was awesome. He had that pick on the James Pearce Jr. pressure. That was off of Brandon Allen, the backup quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. He also had a PBU. And he's also had a really good training camp. All of the Falcons beat reporters have all said that Natrone Brooks has been playing really, really well. He's kind of looking for a backup cornerback role right now, and I absolutely think that he's earning it. So not only has he had a good offseason, a good training camp, but he really got in and kind of turned the tides of the momentum against the Titans for that Falcons defense, who I've been very impressed with over the first 2 preseason games, make no mistake about it. But that's about it for Natrone Brooks on the winner side. Then let's go to the offense. Blair. And I got to admit something. There's two guys that have been really, really impressing me, and we're going to talk about one here in a second, but Chris Blair is definitely one of them. A nice little seam shot up the left-hand side against the Titans for a touchdown. In fact, that's the only time I actually gave Easton Stick any credit. But this preseason, he's been balling out. 6 receptions for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns, definitely making his case for like a wide receiver 5 or a wide receiver 6 spot on the 53-man roster. I don't know if it's going to happen, but he's definitely making his case for it. And I think he's definitely earned himself on the winner list, not only for this preseason week 2, but for the preseason as a whole for the Atlanta Falcons, who, offensively have kind of stalled, especially after that Titans game. But Chris Blair, you're definitely a winner, my friend. Moving on to the next winner and his running mate, who has also been very impressive, and that's Dylan Drummond. And Dylan Drummond, like I said, he and Chris Blair are definitely the ones that are, kind of maintaining their spot as to making a 53-man roster spot as a wide receiver. And Drummond has been the complete opposite of Chris Blair in terms of stylistically on the field, whereas Blair is making these bigger plays, longer chunk plays, but less receptions. Dylan Drummond has been your receptions wide receiver. Not someone that's doing anything crazy in terms of the stretching the field, but finding openings in the flat, over the middle of the field, crossing routes, stick routes, dig routes. He is your possessions wide receiver right now. And again, had a great preseason week 1. Last week, a little bit cooler off, but still a winner because he's got 12 receptions for 85 yards. His body of work right now is definitely the highest among Falcons wide receivers in the preseason. Now, before we get on to the other winners, and remember, I told you this was an absolute doozy. Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Let me tell you about what Prize Picks has going on right now. Preseason football is underway, and college football is here. Week 0 starts this week. So don't miss any of the action this season on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is very simple to play. Here's what you do. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 players and their stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. The next winner. And I'm so happy about it. James Pearce Jr. Let's go. Come on, fire me up a little bit. He really impressed me in this game. Not only did he get his first tackles in the box score, he had 4 of them and 3 solo ones, but his pressure rate has been outstanding this preseason. He's had 7 total pressures so far. Now, he is playing a multitude of defensive snaps, but remember, we broke it down last week. He is absolutely getting chipped and double-teamed. This time, in this game, they went one-on-one with him. And I want to highlight one specific screenshot that I thought perfectly encapsulated just how good James Pearce Jr. is going to be. This is what we call scat protection on the offensive line. Essentially, what it means is that you're going to have all of your right side in 3 scat protection on the offensive line, shift to the right, whereas scat protection left is your left tackle and your left guard shifting left. Unfortunately for the Titans, they left JPJ alone on a one-on-one route. Now, believe it or not, in this specific play, this was a play action where James Pearce Jr. is actually playing the run against scat protection. So what he initially does is he bullies that left tackle, kind of pushes him forward, recognizes that it's a play action play, and then cuts to the outside, swims out, and forces this errant throw from Brandon Allen. And if you watch the game at all, you would know he almost had this as a sack, but it ended up being better because this was an interception from Brandon Allen to Natrone Brooks. So he had 4 tackles. He forced an interception against the Titans, and he had 7 pressures through 2 games. Anybody that is sitting here saying that James Pearce Jr. is not impressing is fooling themselves, because he absolutely is. And remember, I'm a man of my word. I'll admit when I'm wrong. That first game, I initially was too harsh on him. I have since backtracked. I've gone back and watched the film. And I'll be the first one to say, James Pearce Jr., I apologize. Because right now, my friend, you are proving to be an absolute talent on this defensive line. And I think it is going to make an immediate impact come week 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Our last winner, someone that everybody was getting in the comments about during the game, Nathan Carter. And Nathan Carter had himself one hell of a run against the Titans. In fact, he was the lone bright spot in the Atlanta Falcons rushing game. He had this Le'Veon Bell-style patience against the Titans defensive line, where he kind of took the handoff, did a little stutter step in the backfield, had that beautiful field vision, waited for the B gap to open up, split it, took off, and then used that speed of his to get into the end zone. 9 carries, 63 yards. That's 7 yards a carry and a touchdown. Like I said, kind of the lone bright spot for the Falcons running game. Here is a legitimate take that I've got going right now. He's making a case for RB3. Now remember, he's not Bijan, sorry, excuse me. He corrected us on how to say his name. He's not Tyler Algier either. But what he is a player that if you needed him to come in a pinch, he absolutely could become your RB3, and I think he will. As of right now on the depth chart, they keep moving him around. They have started him at RB3. They've moved him to RB4. He's been RB5. I think you're making a legitimate case right now if you're Nathan Carter for Atlanta Falcons RB3. So you've got Bijan, Tyler, Carlos Washington, who probably will get RB4, maybe, but Nathan Carter definitely as an RB3. His field vision has been great. His patience has been great. His burst has looked sensational. Granted, it's preseason, right? So we're playing against third and fourth stringers, but he himself is a third stringer. So he is dominating the competition that he's playing up against, which is exactly what you want to see. Should Nathan Carter be the Falcons' RB3? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you don't think so, at least let me know why. We're all about defending our answers here on Falcons Today. I just listed the reasons why I think he should, but if you've got a different opinion, let me know in the comment section down below. A brief, quick hitter on the losers versus the Titans. I don't want to spend too much time on this considering it is preseason and a lot of these guys are, not taking it nearly as serious as they should be. So the losers, as they are followed, the entire backup offensive line. Despite that one major run from Nathan Carter, the Falcons had 72 rushing yards on 24 attempts. That's not good. So the entire backup offensive line definitely struggled to get things going, especially in the run game. But a bunch of pre-snap penalties as well also made that kind of an unbearable watch as Easton Stick played the majority of the game, and he also didn't have a good game. I didn't put him on the losers list, but that's because I have some other losers that I wanted to get to. Lamar Jackson, he had 8 tackles, so he did lead the team in tackles, which is a positive. However, there was one specific moment where I knew I had to put him on the losers list. It was during the first half, the 2-minute drill for the Titans, where they picked him apart on that drive. And his body language was so bad. It was back-to-back 12-yard reception, 10-yard reception. And his body language just kind of like threw up his hands and was like, I'm done. I'm getting cooked and I don't really care about it. So Lamar needs to have a little bit better body language when it comes to when he's on the field. And he also got picked apart a couple of times, like I said. So I definitely have to put him on the cornerback loser list also because he hasn't really done, anything. And I know that Natrone Brooks, who we mentioned earlier, has also been playing really well. My last loser, of course, is Carlos Washington, who really hasn't done anything wrong. He's just not been available, right? He's injured. So that's, your best ability is availability. That's that age-old saying, as cliche as it might sound. It's the truth. And Nathan Carter has looked really, really good. So I've got to put Carlos Washington Jr. on the losers list simply because he might be losing that RB3 spot, and that's just the way it happens. Last year with Jace McClellan, he also lost that RB3 spot. So it just seems to be a pattern right now that, you have to be available and show what you can do on the field, and he hasn't done that. The last one that I kind of want to highlight back to the offensive line really quick was Jack Nelson, who has had back-to-back really bad games. 2 pre-snap penalties against the Titans, and he doesn't necessarily look lost because I feel like that's harsh, but he's definitely not doing well right now. And I think there definitely needs to be a pickup in this next game against the Cowboys, where Raheem Morris himself said this next game is the make the team game for a lot of guys. So you really have to play well if you want to impress your head coach. That is going to do it for us on today's episode. I know there was a lot thrown at you there, so we appreciate you sticking around with us today. A reminder to like the video if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, be cool.